Hello, I'm Hee Rin Lee from Michigan State University. Today I'm going to present my paper, Conflicting Perspectives of Workers. Many emerging technologies are expected to reconfigure workplaces, and concerns have already been raised about their impact on workers. This study explores what roles designers can play to address power issues regarding workplace automation. In capitalist societies, fundamental power dynamics within workplaces stem from what Marx referred to as struggles between capitalists and laborers. Capitalists seek to accumulate capital through the utilization of labor forces, while laborers strive to sustain their livelihood through the earnings from their work. Marxist scholars underscore the importance of this struggle against capital as it unveils the power dynamics and political relations between workers and capitalists. This study examined this struggle in manufacturing settings. This manufacturing company is a large multinational manufacturer headquartered in the United States with a non-unionized workforce. In recent years, the company has an increasing number of outsourced parts, which has led to inventory accuracy issues. The management considered these issues to have been the result of human errors and concluded that it could have been prevented by automating the material handling process. The material handling process was carried out by two types of workers: forklift drivers who move pallets from the truck to the shelves, and water spiders who open boxes from the shelves and distribute the raw material to the assembly line workers. A few months before I started my fieldwork, this plant had introduced two new autonomous mobile robots, AMRs, that with the aim of automate the material handling work. To avoid imposing my perspective on participants as a design researcher with limited understanding of production work, I initiated the research process by asking participants to generate 5 to 10 words related to the three key concepts that I am interested in, rather than asking specific questions developed based on my perspective. The three keywords were me, workplace, and my work. After the map-making process, I asked participants to draw their ideal robots as well. The collaborative map-making was to address epistemological injustice regarding the devaluation of production workers' knowledge in HCI and HRI. Throughout the study, I also tried to be more reflexive about the power issues in the field site. I tried to develop closer relationships with material handlers, considering existing power dynamics between management and workers, who are the primary target of automation. I did not limit my recruitment pools to the people that the host, one of the innovative team members working directly with the leadership. While collecting data, I recognized that the suggested participant from the leadership share the same perspective with the host leadership and management. As a result, I recruited 5 material handlers, 1 assembly line worker, 4 mid or upper level manager of the shop floor, 1 in-house roboticist, 1 sales engineer responsible for managing the adoption of the 2 robots, and 1 intern who assisted the zone leader in testing the robot. The primary theme of the finding centered around conflicting views among the participants regarding material handler, the newly adopted robot, and their ideal robot. There are 3 conflicting perspectives regarding material handlers. The crucial aspect is that material handlers themselves hold conflicting views. Young material handler like Jake stated that older material handlers are simply complaining about the robots, whereas younger individuals like himself appreciate robot or other new technologies. Regarding the two new robots that are being tested, material handlers again had conflicting views. Older material handlers were aware of the possibility of losing their task to the robot. Joseph said that he cannot understand why the management prefers him or his colleague over the robot, because they are faster than the robot and can perform tasks more efficiently. On the other hand, Chris, a young material handler, stated that the robot represents an opportunity to regain jobs from Mexico or other countries with cheaper labor. His mother, who was also an employee at the same plant, was laid off when the plant relocated to Mexico. Regarding ideal robots, material handlers once again had conflicting views, while young material handlers defined their ideal robot as fully autonomous with quick payback, along with the sales engineer. Older material handlers wanted to ensure that workers maintain their autonomy and prevent de-skilling. Regarding ideal robot, the quote from the sales engineer illustrates how the leadership of the companies, not only the one that I conducted my research in, but others as well, commonly seek to reduce human workers through the adoption of robots. Robots are viewed as an investment that promises quick returns by replacing human workers. While analyzing data, I encountered two questions that proved challenging to address. Firstly, why does the leadership prefer robot over human material handler, who can deliver and manage material much faster than the robot? The fast speed and efficiency of human workers were not only expressed by the worker themselves, but also observed by me. Generally, technologies are designed to increase efficiency or speed in completing tasks, particularly within robotics research. Considering how efficient the human workers were, the management decision is questionable. The primary and most prominent benefit of robots, as advocated by their strongest proponents, such as sales engineers or young material handlers, is their contribution to reducing labor cost. Management consider the value of labor not solely in terms of the content of the work, but also by calculating their long-term labor cost. This can be further explained through Marx's theory of productive and unproductive labor, how productivity is socially constructed from capitalist point of view. According to Marx, whether labor is productive is determined not by its content, but rather by its role in accumulation of surplus value. Surplus value is a realized gain, as it measures the profit that capitalists get after subtracting the cost spent for the product. The realization process is complex in that it involves numerous factors such as marketing, advertising, and financing, not directly related to production. In this calculation, an individual worker's tacit knowledge of performing a task efficiently no longer meaningfully contributes to surplus value. Rather, a material handler's worth is calculated in terms of the cost of their labor as a whole. When considering the main issue of automation entangled with a larger political economic context beyond the nature of work itself, strengthening the collective voice of workers through design research can be a meaningful approach to developing interventions. When previous design studies have discussed power issues in workplace, the main focus has often been the conflicting view between management and workers. In this frame, workers are expected to be a homogeneous group with similar opinions of their labor value, and thus to have similar attitude regarding automation of their work. However, the material handlers in this study hold conflicting views on automation, making it challenging to interpret these perspectives through the lens of previous design studies. Specifically, one group of workers advocate for management profit-oriented agenda rather than for their colleagues' issues. Political economy scholars explore similar questions, have explained that divides among workers can result from liberalization, financialization, and vertical disintegration. The three aspects of reconstructing economic systems regarding state policy, markets, and organizations. These three aspects were implicitly and explicitly discussed by many participants in this study. In particular, these three aspects could be caused the divide between younger and older material handlers, as young workers now have a clear justification of why automation needed, even though it endangered the job security of older ones. For example, one young worker had a long list of ideas for robot adoption. This can be considered as an instance of neoliberal social identity, who view their own skills as commodity, reject collective identity, and hold themselves responsible for marketing their capability, which closely related to liberalization. Another young worker appreciated robots because they could help preventing another production line from being relocated to Mexico, which indicates vertical disintegration. The weakening of worker solidarity through reconstructing of economic systems is a critical issue, considering that collective voice of workers provide a unique countervailing power to the capitalist market-driven power. And this historically generated important social protection for workers. Scholars have found that repeated restructuring has significantly weakened solidarity among workers, which has led to serious issues of political and economic justice. To address the weakened solidarity, Dual-Guest proposed inclusive solidarity as a strategy to strengthen workers' collective voice, which can be achieved through a formation of inclusive collective imaginary. This means that the workers as a group should be more open-minded in terms of how they define problems and solutions. In particular, she argued the importance of incorporating the perspective of the most precarious workers. This is important not only for ethical reasons, but also for practical ones. It has been discovered that after the most precarious workers are endangered, the market-oriented logic will eventually influence all other workers in a similar manner. This concept shares a strong similarity with Anne's design work, as it emphasized fostering worker solidarity as a response to management market-driven strategy and power, in addition to generating collective design ideas as outcome. And argued the importance of inclusion with the motto of no one group of workers should be the victim of new technology. He found that workers with more stable position tend to accept management's offer at expense of workers with precarious positions. This tendency is a critical obstacle for trade unions when contributing to more democratic automation technology design in workplaces. He defines this as mobilization issue that can be more important than those directly related to design itself. Considering how divided workers are and how weak their collective voice is, this study explores potential opportunities to use inclusive solidarity in a design research process by actively bridging the divides among workers and mobilizing their collective power. To achieve this new role, designers identify which workers face the greatest automation-related precarity, introduce the importance of collective solidarity, and cultivate an inclusive collective imaginary.